Hi guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel, the Young in Love podcast. I am Keziah Vilawa, the host of the Young in Love podcast. Guys, we made it to 2024. Oh my goodness, happy new year everyone, and I hope that 2024 is that year for us. As the woman, madam and preacher of love, I really hope that those of us who enter 2024 single, 2024 will be that year for us. In case someone was hoping in 2023 that it will happen for them and it didn't happen, guys, this is the year. Keziah said so. This is the year. Welcome, guys. So, on today's episode, we are going to be discussing the privilege of love and the abuse of access. What is this about? But I want everyone to know, especially those who asked questions prior to this time, that I will address every single question that I received before this recording. I will address them at the end of the episode. I will try to keep things really brief, but please stay tuned. If you ask the question, I will address it at the end. And during the recording, I will be looking down because, as you can see, my laptop is here and I took some notes. So don't mind if I look down every once in a while. So the privilege of love and the abuse of access. What is this about? The thing is, at the beginning of every relationship, things are amazing. Things are excellent. You feel the butterfly in your stomach. Life is going for you. Oh my goodness, I fell in love with this lady. She's amazing. She's beautiful. Where has she been all my life? Yeah, so it's amazing. Everything is going well. Everything is going fine. And then down the line, maybe you get married to this lady that's so amazing, or you get married to the man who is fantastic. And then you start realizing that, okay, maybe they're not as fantastic as you thought they were, or maybe they're not as amazing as you thought they were, right? When that realization sets in, when you start seeing the flaws, when their weaknesses become very obvious to you, what do, right? So the privilege of love, because there are billions of people in this world. There are billions of people in this world, and not everybody will find someone that they truly love and that loves them in return the same. This is why I think genuine love is a privilege. Don't get me wrong, people get married every weekend. People are getting married every Saturday. People are getting married every Sunday. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're in love, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that they're in love, because sometimes people get married because they just want to settle. I don't have time, let me get married. Some people's like, I want kids. Some people get married for different reasons, selfish reasons. So don't ignore the fact that people are getting married. They are not always necessarily in love. But I'm talking about genuine love here, real love, true love, genuine, honest. It's a privilege, right, to fall in love with someone who loves you back the same. But the thing is that many times when we find love, when we are privileged to find genuine love, mutual love, it's a matter of time before we take that privilege for granted. And this is where the abuse sets in. And when I say abuse, I'm not talking about domestic violence and all of that. I'm just talking about the abuse of access. Sometimes you meet a really pretty lady now, or perhaps you're watching me and you're saying, Keziah is such a beautiful lady. There's something mysterious perhaps about my beauty. Or you see a man and he looks so sophisticated. He looks so unreachable, so out of your league. Or, that lady feels out of your league. And you just, in fact, being with that person is only a dream that you can ever have. You feel like it will never happen, it will never materialize. And then suddenly you just try to shoot your shot and you're saying that they are, eating the bait. And then they fall in love with you and you fall in love with them. And that mystery about them is no longer there. The mystery that perhaps once attracted you to them is no longer there. They've been demystified. You wake up in the morning and they're laying right next to you, or you see them in the toilets brushing teeth and they have a cold, blowing their nose. You're just seeing all of those things. You have access to them. You have unhindered access to them, unfiltered access to them, right? It's only a matter of time before you get to that point. Now, what do you do when you're at that point? What do you do when the man that you thought was once out of your league is now your man? Or the lady you once thought was out of your league is now your lady, as in you are dating her life and direct, or you're even married to her, right? Do you start taking that access for granted? The problem is always when we abuse access, right? So now, there are different ways that this abuse can occur. The first way that you can abuse the access that you have to a person that you love, especially when you've been privileged enough to find genuine love, mutual, I love this person loves me. One of the ways, right, is deprioritizing them. So the thing is, because you feel, you're with them anyways, why do I need to prioritize? Okay, your own can wait. Let's do this one. When we do this one, we'll come back to you. Or, okay, you just deprioritize them, deprioritize their needs. Could be emotional needs. Perhaps your husband wants you to be around for something, but you have another event and you feel like, okay, I should be at that one, right? Whereas maybe if you were dating this person, if you were still trying to get them, right, you would have prioritized their need for you to be there in that moment. So deprioritizing them, I can't think of a use case right now, but you know what it is, right? You start deprioritizing your partner. They don't get first place in your considerations. They don't get first place in your thoughts. It's symptomatic. It could be a sign that you're abusing the access that you have to them. The next way you can abuse access is magnifying the strength of others because you are not privy to their flaws and their weaknesses. This is a problem, right? The thing is, you're with your partner, you have unhindered access to them, you see their in and out, you know their mistakes, you know how their breath smells in the morning, you know every single thing about them. Now, when you go out there, you see the strength of people whose weaknesses you do not see. So it's almost like they are perfect in a way that your lover is not perfect. It's like they're an angel. They just dropped from heaven. Everything is right. Everything is fine. They're doing okay. Oh my God, she was able to do this, or he was able to do that. Wow. And you feel, or maybe the only time you get to see this person out there is when they've done their makeup. They always look good, never to be caught on fresh. Everything is boom, 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 on point. And you feel, oh my God, why can't, this person be up and about her appearance every time of the day, 247 now? This person you are seeing out there, you don't live with a person. You're not with them 247, right? You don't know the nuances that make them who they are, their weaknesses, their flaws, their shortcomings. You don't know all of those things. You only see the beautiful. But when you start magnifying those strengths that you're seeing out there over your partners and thinking that your partner is lagging behind, is falling short because you are exposed, you are privy to their flaws, you are privy to their weaknesses, could be a problem, right? You're abusing that access that you have because you're this person's lover. Another way of doing this is assuming that they can never leave you, or assuming that they will never leave you. When you start assuming that this man cannot leave me, or you assume, oh, my wife can't leave me, She loves family too much. She's so family oriented. Oh, my husband is no, he can't leave. Where is he going to? Who's it? And so because you think they will never leave you, they can never leave you, you start acting up. You start doing things that ordinarily you shouldn't be doing because this one is here to stay. I don't secure the bag. That you're abusing the access that you have to them. Could be your girlfriend, your boyfriend, could be your husband, could be your wife, could be someone you're romantically involved with, right? So thinking that because they're with you, then they're not going anywhere. I mean, where could they possibly go? They are not leaving you. You start misbehaving. You start deprioritizing their needs. You start being careless with your words around them. You don't mind how they feel. You don't mind how your actions impact them or affect them or hurt their feeling. You don't mind because no, she go there all right, or don't worry, he will be all right, don't worry, we'll settle at home when we go home, don't worry, leave her. When you start doing that, it's almost like a see finish sort of thing, that shouldn't be the case. Always constantly, when you've been privileged enough to find love, genuine love, mutual love, I think every day that you wake up should be an opportunity for you to say, God, thank you. There are billions of people in this world, but I met this one person that I love and that really loves me. Help me, give me the strength, give me the courage, the grace, the wisdom to constantly show this man, to constantly show this woman how much I love her and that I'm grateful that she's in my life. But when when you're not intentionally doing these things, it's a very gradual descent into abuse of access. From the privilege of love into the abuse of access, it's a very gradual descent. Sometimes you're not even doing it intentionally. Sometimes you don't mean to deprioritize them. Sometimes you don't mean to, think that someone out there is 100 times better than your partner. But these are the very subtle thoughts that we have to be careful to guard our hearts against, because these are the kinds of thoughts that lead us to abuse the access that we have to people we once truly loved and craved and desired, people who we thought were perhaps out of our league, or this girl, there's just something about her, or this man, there's just something about him. But because now he's yours, you live with him, he's probably your husband, the father of your children, or the mother of your kids. Now there's nothing about him again. That thing that used to, there's just something about him. You don't feel it anymore. It's gone because now you've seen him. You've seen all of him. So once that happens, it's a very gradual, a slow descent into abusing the access that you have to them. You start speaking to them in ways that even other men, other women will not, speak to your partner. You start behaving in ways, just whatever it is, be careful to guard your heart against it. If you're privileged enough to find love, you're a lucky person. You're a very, very lucky person. So act like someone who has been highly favored, especially towards your partner. It's not like they're doing you a favor or that you're doing them a favor, but always treat the circumstance, the relationship, the union as a privilege. Not because of your partner, but because of the simple fact that, do you know how many people there are in the world? You chose them and they chose you. It's not a coincidence, right? Especially if this love is real, is genuine, is mutual. Do all it takes to prevent abusing that access. Do what it takes to prevent deprioritizing your partner. Do whatever it takes, right? So I'm not going to philosophize a lot. I know you understand what I'm saying, and I pray that we have the grace and the wisdom to navigate the complexities of relationships. I'm going to be addressing the questions that some people asked me. And the first question is, and my responses are going to be faith-based, of course. Can't separate that, daughter of God and God. So they're going to be faith-based. And this is a quick disclaimer, right? I'm not a counselor. I'm not a relationship therapist. I'm not licensed to I'm not that. I'm not a medical expert. I'm not a medical practitioner. So for professional advice, for medical advice, whatever it is, please consult a professional. See a doctor or a therapist or whoever you need to see, a marriage counselor or a relationship counselor. But I'm not that. This is a quick disclaimer, okay? So, but I will be addressing the messages that I received. And if you want to ask a question, if you want to send a message to me, oh, hey, I love your podcast, or oh, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Feel free, like the link is there. Feel free to use the link ngl.link/younginlove_podcast, and you can send an anonymous message. There's no way of knowing that it is you, right? There's no way I'm going to ever know. I'm not interested in knowing who sends these messages. I just want to address the messages that are sent, right? So the first question is, how does one know that he or she is not destined for marriage? How do you know that you're not destined for marriage? It's a very interesting question, in my opinion, because I don't think, when it comes to marriage, I don't think there's any such thing as predestination, like you're predestined to do something or not to do something. You're predestined to get married, you're predestined not to be married. I don't believe that. I feel that we are the captains of our ship, when it comes to marriage. This is my opinion, right? So I feel that if you internalize all the pain and the hurt and the disappointments that you have felt in the past from your maybe previous relationship, soon enough it will start to feel like your reality. Perhaps you've only dated very lousy women or violent men, and you're just like, listen, this love thing is not for me. This love thing is not for me. I can't do it. I'm not destined to be married. It's not in my life trajectory to be married. When you internalize that pain long enough, deep enough, right, you start to feel like it's your reality, but it's not your reality. We've all been hurt, right? I've gone through my own heartbreak. Heartbreak, bro, and heartbreak, sis. I've gone through my own heartbreak. Perhaps you've also experienced that level of pain, but it doesn't mean that you're not destined for love. You're not destined for marriage. The advice I always give is love is worth it. Genuine love is worth it. It's worth the wait. It is worth the pain. It's worth the sacrifice. It's worth the hurts you have to go through to find genuine love, right? It's really worth it. So I don't know what would have made you ask this question or think that maybe you're not destined for marriage, or you're second guessing yourself, whatever it is. Don't internalize that too much, because soon enough it will be your reality and you think, listen, I give up, this is not meant for me. And maybe there are people who have decided it's not that marriage is not meant for them, but they've just decided that they do not want to be married. That's totally fine. But if you want to be married, but you're thinking perhaps it's not meant for you because of all the maybe negative experiences you've had in the past and all, I would say just hang in there. And if you feel like maybe you need to improve yourself, especially with respect to the people you settle with, the kind of people you're dating, then do it. Whatever you need to change in your life, change it, just go ahead. But don't think for a second that from the time you were conceived, there's a predestination that this one cannot marry, so I'm not meant to be married, or this one is not. No, I feel you should give it a try. Love, as I said, genuine love is worth it. The next question is, will you tell your parents if the man you love is SS, or will you hide it till after marriage, especially when you know your parents won't give consent because of his genotype? First, I need you to understand something, that when it comes to marriage, the burden is on you. and not your parents. The burden is on you, will be on you, right? Whether you hide it or whether you tell them or, at the end of the day, your parents will not live in that marriage with you. You will. So this is, so it's not about, will you tell your parents, if will you, that whatever decision you make, you will carry it with your head, right? Good. That's the first thing. Understand that this burden is yours. The second thing I want you to understand is the intricacies. The intricacies of living with sickle cell warriors, right? It's not an easy thing. The care, the attention of care that they need. Just understand the intricate. I don't want to go deep. Understand the intricacies of doing that. You need to be committed. You need to pay attention to them. A lot of the warriors have, I don't think there's any such thing as getting used to it, but they've maybe found ways to cope, to manage. I have schoolmates that have graduated and continue to do amazing things even beyond school, right? So there are persons who have been able to press on. This is why I call them warriors, right? But there are intricacies that we on the outside will never really understand, except you are like this, close to them. So now if you're deciding to be a spouse, right, so sickle cell warrior, you have to understand the intricacies. You have to understand the things that are involved in living with them, in caring, in looking after them. Pay attention, because as I said earlier, at the end of the day, this is your will I say cross to bear. This is your burden to bear. Marriage, it is yours. It's not your parents. It's not any other person. It is yours to bear. And and I'm saying think about the intricacies, because when it comes to sickle cell, a lot of people focus so much on the offsprings. Oh, don't do this because your children, you don't want to, have offsprings that are have sickle cell, or don't do this because a lot of the time the focus is on the children. But we tend to forget that even the spouse who lives with such a warrior has, mentally, you need to be prepared. You need just, it's 360-degree readiness. You have to make sure, because this is a lifelong commitment, right? We're talking about marriage now. It's not a relationship, you come in, you bounce out. We're talking about a lifelong commitment. So you have to be mentally ready. You have to understand what is really involved. This is something you're going to commit to until your last breath, or until the last breath of your spouse, of your partner. So ensure that mentally you're ready, physically, all around, you're ready for this. All right. And then seeing as you are AA yourself, don't forget I started at the beginning by saying that I am not a medical professional, right? But the common knowledge that we have received is that if you're AA, then you're free to marry whomever, right? So I don't think this is medically outrightly prohibited, right? So but you need to think it through. You really need to think it through, because I would say this is a lifelong commitment. You want to convince yourself. You need to be sure that you're ready to go. You're ready to go this mile. You're ready to travel this journey with this person. It's a lifelong thing, right? So I wish you all the best, and I pray that you make the right decision for yourself. It's not about your parents. And you asked if I would tell them. I think that if they ask, if the question comes up, you're not going to lie, right? You say the truth. If the question comes up, if the conversation comes up, if they ask, you say the truth. So personally, I don't think it's something that I will keep away from them, but I will bear it at the back of my mind that whatever decision I make, at the end of the day, it's my cross to bear. I get to live with the consequences, whether I go ahead with the person or not. Because you can decide, okay, I'm calling it quits with this person, and until you, I don't know, until you buy, you will just be like, but this person was so amazing. You know, I could have managed. You don't want to regret, you know. And you can then decide to go in and every now and then you're like, ah, which kind of wahala did I get myself into like this? It's, you have to decide. And I really wish you all the best in making that decision. But I will tell my parents if that's what you're asking. The next question is, this is where it gets interesting. The next question is, how many times in a week should a newly wedded couple have sex in order to strengthen their bond even more? First thing I'm going to say is, there is no cast in stone rule for this. There's no cast in stone rule. I can't say you need to have sex 3 times in a week, 7 times in a week, 14 times in a week. It's what works for you, you and your partner, you and your spouse. Do what, not listen to all these people, all these motivational speakers that be telling you, since I married my husband, since I married my wife, we used to have sex every day. We've never gone a day without sex. I saw a couple with kids and the lady and me were like, I've never gone a day without sex. We have sex every single day. In my head, I'm like, even with kids. So the day you went into labor, did people have sex? When you, after you had the children, did people start having sex? I don't know. I mean, social media is really not the real place. So don't listen to all these people. Do what works for you. Okay? There's no manual for it. Do what works for you. And while sex can improve the bond in your marriage as a newlywed, I don't think at the end of the day it's really just sex that, I don't know, that creates that bond or improves it. I feel like there's more, because if you perhaps ignore issues that are coming up as a newlywed, you ignore them, you sweep them under the carpet, but within you, you're annoyed, you're angry about something, and you have sex. I don't know. I just feel like it will become just a physical activity or a routine that you guys need to do because you're married, but it won't increase or improve your bond at the end of the day until you've had that conversation about, you know, the way that you feel, until you guys begin to be really vulnerable with each other, enjoy each other's company, maybe do things together. I feel like these are the small activities that improve or strengthen the bond in people who are in love. And by the time you do all of these activities and your hearts are just connected, when it's time for sex, you bring that connection into sex, and it makes it, you know, worthwhile. And I don't know, but if you don't have common grounds, you don't do anything together, you're annoyed, you're bickering at each other, and you're doing this, you're doing that, and then in the night somebody wants to start touching you, just be like, I don't know. You'll probably not feel it as much as when you're really happy with your partner, when you're when you're in sync with them, right? And maybe for some people, even if they're pissed or even if they're angry, the moment they, you know, have sex, then all that annoyance fades and all of that. And this is why I said again, there's no cast in stone, you know, rule. There's no manual. Do what works for you and your partner, right? So remember that sex will not fix what an open, genuine, and honest conversation about your feelings will fix, right? Because what I was wondering when I saw this question was, as a newlywed, why is sex the thing, you know, to strengthen your bond even more? Why are you going to sex to strengthen the bond? You don't feel that the bond is already there. Perhaps it's an indication that you feel there's no bond between you. So as a newlywed, you think, okay, sex will be that bond, right? I'm just saying, could be an indication of maybe a problem and all, which is why I put this note here that remember, sex will not fix for you and having an open conversation will fix, right? So if you feel that you need to strengthen the bond in your relationship, you've not been married 10 years, you said you're a newlywed, and you're already worried about strengthening your bond. Perhaps it's because you feel that bond is not there. So there could be other underlying issues that you might want to investigate, assess, talk about with your spouse, right? Number 4, the fourth question is, I'm struggling in my committed relationship. I get into situations where I meet people often, where I meet people other than my partner, and we do things but never cross the line, as in penetration. So people are doing other things but you don't make way. I know it is wrong, but what can I do to stop this? First off, I appreciate your understanding that what you're doing is wrong. I appreciate it. At least you know. They say the first step to solving a problem is identifying that problem, admitting that you have a problem. So good thing that you understand what you're doing is wrong. And we sometimes struggle to break bad habits or addictions or something. So maybe this is your case. Maybe you're struggling and you need help. What can I do? But you need to ask yourself very, very important questions, right? You need to ask yourself important questions like, why are you doing this? Why are you meeting people and doing foreplay with them? You're not penetrating, fine, but you're doing every other thing. Why are you doing this? What is the underlying satisfaction that you get with these people, whoever they are, whether it's strangers or people you already know, your friends, whatever? What's that? What is the thrill in what you're doing? You're not going all the way. You're not penetrating, right? You're just doing whatever it is. What is the satisfaction you get from it? You also ask yourself why you're doing it. Why you're doing it. What is the thrill? Is it the foreplay that you enjoy? When you say committed relationship, as I said earlier, it could be dating or it could be marriage. But one thing I'm going to say to you, whether it's dating, I mean, you could break up and meet someone else, whether it's dating, is marriage, what you're doing is cheating. You're cheating. So when you say you don't cross the line into penetration, I don't know what you're talking about, because you don't have to penetrate. Just doing what you're doing. There are different forms of cheating. This one, you are cheating. So don't feel, good that, okay, because I don't penetrate, we never cross that line. That's a moral line you think you have, you've drawn in your head. I don't penetrate, but you don't need to penetrate. You've already crossed that line. You've already crossed that line. You're cheating, right? So it's wrong. And good thing that you already know this. It is wrong. You've asked, what can I do to stop this? Very important question. First thing, after you've asked yourself those important questions, why you're doing it, what the thrill is from doing it, what the satisfaction is that you get, perhaps you should see a therapist. I know that many people, when they cheat, especially in this kind of way, they go all the way. They have the sex and everything, but you're not penetrating. You're doing, hey, listen, I don't know, right? See a therapist. And with a therapist, perhaps you'll be able to uncover the deep-rooted issues, right, within yourself that's making you do this, even when you're in a committed relationship. Are you doing it with strangers or are you doing it with friends? Right? You ask yourself this question. One way you can stop this, what you have going on, is if you're doing this with friends, people you know, if you're doing it with strangers, remove yourself from those situations that eventually lead to, perhaps you're just having conversations with friends and the conversation starts getting freaky, and from there you're already saying all the things you wish you'd be doing to that person, and then the next thing, you arrange a meetup to actually do those things, right? Remove yourself from situations like that. Remove yourself from conversations like that, don't let the conversation get to that point. Don't let it descend into freaky, you know. Remove yourself from situations, from conversations, from places, from companions, right? If it's you know, perhaps it's your peers that encouraged you into that, guy or babe or whatever, as fast as you know penetrate, it no matter, just do this, just do that, I think you need to remove yourself from that kind of companionship, right? In summary, remove yourself from situations like that. And the only way you can achieve this is if you first do introspection. When was the first time I did this? How did it happen? What were the triggers? How did I get to this point? I think when you're able to identify those things, then you can maybe know what to start removing yourself from. Because if you don't even know in the first place that this is what triggers you, is when you start having all these conversations, it won't click. You will keep having those conversations and you will keep meeting with these people to do things with them, even though you don't penetrate, but you keep. So identify your trigger points, identify the places, the situations, the circumstances that make you have this desire to, I don't know, to do this thing you're doing. I don't know what to call it because it's not sex, that, you know, whatever it is you're doing, just identify. Be honest with yourself also. Be super honest with yourself about what the catch is for you. When people do drugs, they want to get high, they want to forget. So what is it for you when you do this? You do, be honest with yourself, right? Be very honest with yourself. Ask yourself what the catch is. Perhaps when you're able to answer this question, the answers can help you uncover what it really is that you're doing or that you're pursuing. Maybe it's because your partner doesn't like foreplay. Most times when you're with your partner just wants to get right into business. So you're craving that experience, that thing, that torture, you know, before the main dish. And so because maybe you're not getting with your partner, you go out there and do it. You enjoy the foreplay, and then when you get home, you now fire down with your partner. You have to be really honest with yourself, right, about why you're doing what you're doing, the satisfaction you get, what you are chasing, you know, and all of that. Another thing is, if you really love your partner, you would actually want to stop, because the consequences can be very devastating for them. It can be devastating for them if they find out that this is what you're doing, and you don't have to be penetrating for them to feel bad that you're out there touching people's bodies and doing things and blah 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 when you're in a committed relationship, as you said yourself, right? So I mean, would you want that to be done to you? Would you want your partner, are you okay with your partner being with other people in the same way that you have been with other people? Chances are that you will say no. So do unto others what you want them to do to you. When you say committed relationship, I don't know, I think perhaps your partner is in a committed relationship with you, but you are not in a committed relationship with them. Because if you are in a committed relationship, you will not be going that far. May God give you the grace to stop. Amen. I think this will be the last question. This should be the last question. It says, my ex and I are still in love, but I'm happily married. My ex and I are still in love, but I'm happily married. She's currently divorced, and if I were single, we would be back together. It was my fault that it was my fault that we separated in the first place, and she got ill after the breakup, and I have always blamed myself for it. We still have strong feelings. What do I do? How do you know that you are still in love? Bro, how do you know that you're still in love? I mean, what I'm asking is, what are the things that you have considered and, you know, come to that conclusion that I'm still in love with my ex and my ex is in love with me? How do you know? How did you establish that you are still in love after all these years, because you said you are married, in fact you said you are happily married, and your ex is divorced. That means she too was married. So from the time you dated and you broke up and you started dating others, you got married. I don't know if you have kids, or maybe with kids, through all the years you're still in love. How did you establish that the both of you are still in love? This question is important, so just keep the answer somewhere in your mind, right? Because anyways, let's continue. Now you say happily married. How can you be happily married and be in love with another person that is not your spouse? I don't know how this thing works. I think it's a miserable way to do love, to say you're happily married but you're in love with somebody that you're not happily married with. Bro, I think it's actually miserable. Are you really happily married? Are you really, really happily married? I'm going to take your word for it that you're happily married, right? If you feel that you treated your ex badly, because I see here that you're blaming yourself, for the breakup, blah, blah, blah. And maybe this is just your own way. I don't know if to say pity, some sort of pity, like, oh my God, she's divorced. She went through this terrible marriage, or she went through this, and it's all my fault, because if I had not left her, she would not go through this experience. But I don't know what it is, right? But you can apologize. I've done it before. You can apologize if you feel like you treated someone badly, or you left in a terrible way. You didn't provide closure. You didn't, no. Apologize and let that be the end. If you're still having strong feelings through your marriage, through her own marriage, through her divorce, it means that those strong feelings, and this is to use your word now, it means that those strong feelings, those emotions are being nurtured. You're pouring into them. And that's why those feelings are still alive. Because the way that I understand it, a lot of time has passed. You broke up, maybe you even dated others after the breakup with this particular ex. Who knows? Or you broke up, then you dated your person, you married, she did her own, married. A lot of time for, I don't know, feelings to die if they are not being nurtured. When I say nurtured, I mean you're constantly feeding those emotions, and that's why they are getting stronger to the point where it's something that's in your head. You're actively thinking about it, even though you're in a happy marriage. If you say you're happily married, chances are that you have a good spouse, you have a good partner, right? But you will always be like a confused person because you are constantly pouring into your ex. Maybe in a way you're not even pouring into your wife. Those emotions, you are feeding them, maybe with backhanded conversations. You're texting this person. You guys have calls where you bare your soul. You're vulnerable with your ex, and you guys reminisce on memories, on all those sweet memories you guys had when you were dating, and how kind or more I fuck up. You just say I don't fuck up now. Now me and you for day. You're feeding that. That's why I asked in the beginning, how do you know you're in love? What are the things you do, or that she does, or you people do with each other, to each other, that's making you think you're in love? This is it. You're feeding the emotions, and they're getting stronger and stronger and stronger. It's a matter of time before you start, in your head, you start thinking, maybe this is where I'm destined to be. Let me leave this person, my wife, and go be with my ex, your divorced ex. All right. So be very, very careful. I don't know who you are. I don't know who your ex is. I don't know who your spouse is, but be very careful, because as she said, she don't tire for her own. Yeah, the next, I don't know. Now she's on to you, if you get what I'm saying. And she's not in her marriage anymore, right? So you need to ask yourself, is it really love? Does she really love me? Or am I the person to, I don't know, to save her face, to save the day for her. Or don't say, when I say be careful, I really mean it though, because misery loves company. You have a happy marriage. She has none. You're making yourself available, and best believe she will latch onto you. She will latch onto you real good, crawl under your skin, get into your mind. Be careful. Don't ruin something beautiful that you have, especially because you've said you are happily married. Don't do it. Especially because not many people can say they're happily married. Not many people can say that. So if you can say it, you have something beautiful. Stop entertaining your ex. Don't feel like, oh, I'm strong. Don't worry, I can still relate with her and everything we find. I have boundaries. Like, you clearly don't. If you're saying you guys are still in love, you don't have boundaries anymore, you know? So I think you should stop entertaining this ex. Spell it out clearly, like, listen, I'm a married person, right? Happily married at that. And I know we were once a thing, blah, 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 but I plan to stay committed to my marriage, and we cannot this thing, whatever it is people are doing, cannot happen anymore. You need to stop entertaining that lady. You need to stop. And then ask yourself again, what is your ex offering you? When you say we're still in love, blah, 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 but you're happily married. So what is it that she's offering you that you're not enjoying in your happy marriage? And even if, I don't know, like, you know, no one person will really have it all. You don't forget that you've never been married to your ex. So you don't know what it's like being married to her. You guys only dated. Might just turn out more horrible than this your happy marriage, like this your spouse. So when you ask yourself, what is your ex really offering you that you're not already enjoying in your marriage? Let that not be a criteria. Okay, this is what my ex is offering me. This is what she's offering me. This is what she's offering me that my spouse is not offering me. You don't know that she can actually offer those things. You guys are just doing backyard kukere. You know, you're just doing backyard something. You've never been married to this person, so there's no way of knowing that all these things you think she's offering you, you will actually get them when you guys are married. Okay, right? So don't let the devil sell a lie to you. Whatever it is you think your ex is offering you, don't let the devil sell a lie to you. You have a beautiful home, you have a happy marriage, and this is all that matters. See, don't let things get messy at all. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Cut this ex off, especially because she knows you're a married man. She knows you're married. And if she cannot respect your marriage, in fact, you two cannot respect your own marriage. People who don't respect other people's marriages, when they are married themselves, they will not respect their own marriage. So this thing that is doing your head like this now, you go and make mistake and go there. Tomorrow it will be another ex that you don't know of that she has, that she will go back. It's not worth it. All this drama, just avoid it, especially because you've said you are happily married. Cut this ex off. This ex is threatening your sanity in your marriage. Because now it's confusion. I'm happily married. Oh my God, but I'm in love with my ex. Cut this person off. You don't need that kind of confusion. You know, you don't need that type of this thing. It's a danger, it's a threat, it's a risk. Cut it off. Cut that ex. Sorry, I'm saying cut it, but cut her off. Cut her off. If integrity means anything to you, you know, if you're a person of integrity, part of being married is forsaking all others. Part of being married is forsaking all others, forsaking your exes, forsaking everybody. All this, part of being married is forsaking all of them. You had stuff going on in the past. That's in the past. You had whatever. It's in the past. If you're a person of integrity, part of being married is forsaking all others, including this your ex. Now that you people have strong feelings for each other, so forsake her, cut her off. I know you can do it. You can. You love your wife. That's why you're happily married. You love her. Don't let your ex confuse you. Don't let the devil sell a lie to you. It's not worth it. Take it from me. It's not worth it. Don't ruin your home. It never ends well, as I've said. One last thing. Can you imagine if the roles were reversed? Imagine if this was your wife entertaining her ex, saying that she loves the man, even though she's happily married to you. I don't know how you feel, but see, the golden rule is something that should always guide you. Like, I will not be fine if this is done to me, so I better not do it to this lady who has made me happy. I mean, I'm happily married, right? So don't do it. It's not worth it. On that note, we've come to the end of today's episode, and I really hope that someone is encouraged to hold on to the love that they have. There's nothing outside. Though there's nothing, this illusion of abundance that we always have. Maybe my ex will be better, or this person will be better. There's nothing outside. Nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing outside. You have love, a love that pours into you, a love that makes you happy. Hold on to that person. I hope that someone is encouraged to hold on to the love that they have. And if you don't mind, I will just say a word of prayer and we'll wrap up for today. Let us pray. Dear God in heaven, I want to thank you for the grace and the opportunity to do this. Thank you for leading us into a new year, 2024. I want to thank you for all my listeners, for the people watching on YouTube, for those that are listening on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever they listen to their podcast. I pray, Lord Jesus, that you bless them. And I'm specifically praying for those who have asked all of these questions, especially with respect to third parties in their relationship and in their marriage and all of these things. Father, I know that you instituted marriage, you blessed it, you sanctified it, and constantly, day in, day out, the devil is fighting tooth and nail to ensure that this institution that you have so beautifully instituted and blessed is destroyed by our own imaginations, by the wrong things that we do, the secret pleasures that we indulge in, and all of these things. But Lord, I pray that you give these ones the grace, you give them the wisdom to navigate the complexities of love and of marriage. And I pray that ultimately you help them to make the right decision. A marriage is probably at the verge of ruin because someone thinks that they have love, they found love with your ex. I pray, Lord, that you open his eyes and his understanding to see what the enemy is trying to do in his home, and give him the grace to retrace his steps. For the person who's at the verge of making a lifelong decision but is worried or is concerned about what the parents think about his or her partner, Lord, I pray that you give such a person the grace to make the right decision, because marriage is a lifelong thing, it's a lifelong commitment. So if they decide, and as they decide to be with this person, give them the strength to be able to show that the cross, to be able to bear their cross, to be able to show that the burden and every to be able to carry and bear whatever is required to be married to the person that they genuinely love. And for someone who is thinking that perhaps I'm not worthy of love, I'm not destined to be married, the marriage is not my thing because I don't think I can ever get it right, Lord, I pray that if this person genuinely desires to be married, that sooner you would show them yourself, because you are love, God is love. I pray you reveal yourself unto them and let them know, convince such a person that they are worthy of love and that they are worthy of a happy marriage. And I pray you order their steps and guide them to that person with whom they would be happily married. Father, thank you for hearing our prayers, for answering us. I pray that 2024 will be an amazing year for all of us, for all my listeners. I bless them. I bless their finances. I bless their career, their marriages, their relationships, their children. Whatever they put their hands into will prosper in Jesus' mighty name. Thank you, Father, for hearing our prayers. Let this be our experience, Lord, the blessings you have for us. For we've prayed in Jesus' name. Amen and amen. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Stay tuned for the next episode. And if you sent a question that I did not address in this episode, don't worry. In the next episode, I will try to address your question. So now, until the next episode of the Young in Love podcast, bye and be good. Mwah.
Young in Love.